Welcome back, you guys. I'm Tassie, and this is my Shaman Memoirs podcast. And today's episode, we do have my two Hwjs here. So I'm super excited to have them on to really just kind of share with you guys a lot of their experiences that they've had since all of this has started. So as you guys probably know, this is GJ. She's usually in the background a lot. You guys probably hear her laughing, and we've been slowly starting to incorporate her more into our videos. And so I really wanted to have her on again because she's been doing a lot of my travels to California this year. I think you've only gone on one, right, Molly?
Yeah, just one, and then the one to Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like in California, a lot of times it was GJ, but I do remember them. But literally this past weekend, I was talking to my students, and I don't know why. It finally dawned on me. There will never be a time where my students will see both GJ and Molly at the same time. You know, so I'm pretty sure if we ever did a trip out there again or something like that.
In California.
Yes, in California. So, yeah, but even the ones in Minnesota, they rarely get both of you guys on the same day.
Sometimes, too. Yeah. Sometimes, I think...
when has that ever happened?
I don't think so, because...
Bows. No, you weren't there.
No. We never go together.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They never go together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's more so if you guys happen to be I know people who come into my office, and on certain days Molly works in my office, so then they get to see Molly in the office. But for GJ, she really does a lot of my production stuff, editing, and then she also is my other Hwj who comes with me a lot. And I do have two other people that sometimes are also my Hwj. So, but, today I wanted to have both of you guys on because you guys have really been through so much with me. So I really wanted to have you guys share your experiences for the audience on everything that's kind of happened so far.
You want to go first?
What do y'all want me to talk about? Well, I feel like you introduced GJ, but you never...
Oh, everybody knows Molly. Everybody knows Molly. That's why.
I was like, wait, are we going?
Molly is the annoying younger sister.
Yeah, it's funny because the last time we went to California, one of, your client's sister-in-law, she looked at me, she goes, "Are you Tassie's sister?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, I don't know you. Maybe Tassie just doesn't show you." And I'm like, "Yeah." Usually Molly and Tassie, they hang out a lot. So then she's in her stories a lot and a lot of her videos and things. And again, I'm more in the background.
Yeah. GJ does a lot more of the background stuff. But I would say a lot of people, I feel like from when we go out and we run into people and they recognize me, a lot of people instantly will recognize Molly. Because then Molly's been in my stories. She's been in a lot of my bloopers. And both of you guys have, though, our skits and our shorts. I feel like both of them have been in there a lot. But definitely, I feel like Molly is probably a lot like me in personality. So then that's probably... And plus, you used to be a lot more blonde and everything, too. Yeah. So that's probably it, too. But, yeah, no.
Yeah. I know, going out, everyone always, I can tell in their eyes they recognize me, and then they start looking for Tassie. No. And I was like, Tassie's not with me. She's not with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, and you guys have been getting this at the bar, too, when you guys go to bars in St. Paul.
Yeah, I had one person who looked at me, and they said, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" I said, "No." And they stared at me for a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, weren't you on that one podcast with Tassie?" I'm like, yeah, I was the first.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like... you guys do get recognized as well now when we go out. But I know a lot of, even my students who are in another state, they're always like, "Is Molly coming? Is Molly going to be the Hwj?" I'm like, I have other Hwjs, you guys.
I can only take up so many PTO hours in a year. Yeah. So as much as I would love to travel and do all of that and see everyone, I have to submit time off on my day job, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for me. I'm like,
yeah.
How many days are we going? I need to schedule that.
Yeah. I would definitely say that is the hardest part, and I try to not go on so many trips either just because of my own PTO and time away from family. I would say with this year being so heavily focused on my students, it's been exhausting with a lot of traveling, but it's always so nice to connect with them again, because like, especially those who don't live here, but even those who live here, okay, like I do this thing where I do like to have them come in and see each other and kind of just see what a beginning shaman is like, right? So that way they gain their experience. So I feel like it's not as fair for my students who don't live in Minnesota because they don't get those same opportunities just because I live so far from them. But definitely, I feel like every group, would you guys agree, having been to so many groups, you haven't been to my Wisconsin ones yet, though.
Mm-mm.
But
that's in October that we're going?
Later on this summer.
Yeah.
So I will say that, like, I notice that it's a different feeling with every group.
Yeah. I think it's the different personalities and how people mesh well together. But then I think it also is kind of like how they're raised in that area. I think of like,
like the demographic.
The demographic of regionals, right? Mm-hmm. They always have that Minnesota nice, and then they have California, and I think they just meld well together. Their personalities and what they're interested in and stuff like that. I just feel like they always align, especially with each group, meeting the Minnesota group and then the California. And then I've only met one of your students in Wisconsin, but yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm so thankful for my Hwjs. Just because, especially when I go out to California, I don't drive in California, you guys. Like, very seldom will I actually
She only drives in Wisconsin. Correction.
I drove us in Texas. We had to have Jesus take the wheel, but
what you drove for like maybe 30, 40 minutes.
I drove perfectly fine in Texas, but my two sisters, because then I had another sister who actually flew in. She just had time off, and she flew in and just met up with us, but they were both so nervous because of my driving, but I'm like, I'm fine. I just need to let out my noises.
I'm more nervous when Molly is driving. I'm like,
I am a good driver.
No,
we carpool in my car so often.
If I'm in the back and I'm not paying attention to the road, I'm okay. But I swear to God, Molly, the way you drive.
It's not your time.
The way you drive.
Let's just say even Molly.
Okay, let's set this straight.
In Texas, even Molly chose not to drive.
Okay, but
our younger sister drove us.
Texan drivers are wild. Like, I've driven in California, and like Texas drivers, they don't use signals. They're going 90 miles per hour, and the roads are windy. Like they a lot of the roads curve a lot and stuff like that, and everyone is zooming past 90 miles per hour. And I'm like,
wait, let's go back. Did you say the word, say the word windy and not windy?
Whatever.
There's a reason those two aren't together. But in Texas, our younger sister, it was so funny because I was driving, I'm fine. I just need to scream every now and then that I'm okay. But
scream when you drive?
Like, I don't know which lane. Ah!
Do what I say, Tassie, when driving. Commit! If you're going to do something stupid, just commit.
No. Every time I do something wild and audacious, and even I know it's wild, I'm like driving in America while being a woman, an Asian woman. And I think of the Family Guy meme.
I have to turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
I always think of that. Clip that.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
She is also like, okay, the one thing that bugs me the most about her driving.
I thought this podcast was supposed to be you being appreciative of your host show. All I hear is crying and complaining.
The one thing that bugs me the most about her driving, Molly's, is, like when you're the driver, most people pay attention to the road, right? She starts to sightsee with you. Okay, I'll be sitting in the passenger and I'll notice something, and she's noticing it too. And we are in stop and go traffic.
Texan drivers.
So literally,
hey, I'm not going 90 miles per hour.
What happened in Texas was once my sister, I got into the seat, and our younger one, she got into the seat and she drove. I felt our mông instantly go up. And I was like, you had really good luck with driving. I mean, but this sister, she's driven cross country by herself, you know.
She drives a lot.
She does drive a lot because she moved from New Jersey and New York area all the way to the Midwest.
She's also military, so just having to drive everywhere, it's kind of her thing.
I don't think she drives. She's flying all the time.
She does fly a lot, but then she also drives.
I've never heard her talking about driving for her job.
Her car?
No, she's
To
not
the
talking about her.
station?
She's not talking about overall her job.
She's not like a truck driver or...
No, I know, but then just having to drive from her Illinois base.
Oh, you mean like how I drive from here to work and it's 30 minutes?
No, I meant like from New Jersey down to Illinois. And then how she always drives up to Minnesota. Those are 10-hour drives.
That's not for her job, though.
No.
Anyways, well, the point is, the Hmong got so much better. And, like, she knows how to drive. She doesn't ride on people. She knows to look ahead. And she knows how to pace the car, right?
You just like to give praise when that person isn't here. Because remember when we were in New Jersey, how crazy of a driver she was?
Oh, no, I told her, though. She's gotten better. Okay, so she takes constructive criticism and learns from it. Because when I first came to New Jersey with her, she was those drivers who drives, and as she turns, the car's turning. Oh, no. And she does those fast jerk moves.
And when there's a fork in the road, she doesn't know where she's going, so she just stays in the middle until she finally realizes, I gotta turn out.
But, you know, some people just follow traffic, even if those cars aren't going with them.
I will say, when I first moved back to Minnesota in 2020, I remember, you know how like during COVID, there was little to no traffic, right? And my GPS was telling me to exit. In Minnesota, there's a 94, which is like the main interstate that goes through St. Paul to Minneapolis. And I was trying to make my way to Minneapolis, but my GPS was telling me to get off onto 35E, right there downtown St. Paul, and then get back onto 94. And I was looking at the GPS, and it's kind of windy, and when you are when you first live here, the roads are kind of confusing. So I'm like, whoa, you know, there's everybody in that lane. So then I went to that lane, and I realized this is not where I need to be.
Yeah. Do you remember that one time after we came back from the movies, and you circled around 494 and 52?
I've done a lot of 4-leaf clovers, okay? That's not the only one.
Like, Molly, you took the wrong exit.
I've taken a lot of 4-leaf clovers. I'm trying to take people to places they've never been to.
And she will often forget what she's doing while she's driving. She'll be driving, all of a sudden, oh, I didn't even know where we're going. So that happens a lot to her as well. On top of, you know, it's just, and like, bumply many times riding in the car. Because she won't brake. And then she starts to tell me, you know, you make it worse with all your screaming next to me.
No, but her screams are loud. Okay.
Why is she screaming to begin with? Because that's the question.
She's just a backseat driver.
But I will say, out of everyone in the family, you are probably the only one that everybody comments on your driving.
Yeah.
But you have to
We've
realize,
all had an incident.
No,
I know.
Hold up.
I know that you're probably a real great critical thinker.
No, you have to
love
realize
you.
a lot of times.
We love you.
Everybody is in my car though. I carpool everybody so often, so that's why they have chances to criticize. But if someone else would drive, so I could criticize their driving too.
But you know,
but everyone's always in my car.
Molly, it's okay. We love you.
Yeah. Kasi mo net siya.
Everyone's always in my car. I swear. Yeah.
So, what was the topic of this?
Remember when you
almost supposed to be how appreciative you are of your whole show.
She almost drove us over a cliff in San Francisco.
Was it San Francisco?
Well, San Jose area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the important part of the story? Or the cliff? But anyways.
No, remember when we drove up to the mountains?
Yeah. Molly also cannot drive if she sees a drop next to her.
Okay, so I am deathly afraid of heights, right? So in California, there's a lot of hills and mountains. And so when you're driving through the mountains, you are literally on the edge of the cliff. And when was it? It was in September one year when we had gone down to Fresno. We stayed there for a week. And I had the great idea, let's go to Sequoia National Park. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. My sister has a older minivan. Let's pack up the car. Let's go for the morning and then come back because it's only a 45-minute hour drive. As we were driving up the mountain,
I fell asleep.
I was so nervous.
I woke up because McQuinning said she's scared. And I was like, why is she scared? And then I looked out the window. I was like, oh, we're driving over the cliff.
It's like, okay, so I have...
And she's a sightseer too, so she's like...
Yeah.
Focus on the road, woman! When we went through downtown Dallas...
Who's the real problem?
When we went through downtown Dallas, I literally said out loud, I am so thankful Molly is not driving. And Molly's looking plastered to the window. Me too!
No! Okay, so I am well aware. I like to look at things. I think of like when the snow's falling and I'm driving. I'm looking at the snow. The snow.
It'll be a snowstorm. Thick snow. She's not looking at the cars in front of her. She's looking at the flakes.
No, okay.
Which one's bigger? Wow, that was a big one. Red lights in front of her. You know, that's dangerous.
You're admitting to this.
I know. It doesn't help my story, but I you know, it's like, I know.
It's okay, Molly.
we driving.
We still appreciate and love you, and for whatever support you can give.
We love you.
You know,
all your perfections.
It was a bad idea having all. There's a reason all three of us aren't together all the time.
No, okay. So I was telling GJ yesterday. I was like I had a very long day at work.
Oh, yeah.
I had a 12-hour day, and you know how delirious I get after I'm like exhausted. I was so exhausted. I didn't care. GJ always does her like quirky things, and that's just what she does. And we were in public, and I'm like, I hope none of my coworkers ever see me in public, especially with my siblings. Because we have some interesting conversations sometimes.
Yeah, we sure do.
But other people get so no. Remember we were talking about we were at BBQ Chicken. It was you, me, and Eric, and we were what were we talking about?
Okay, so you know,
eating human.
There's a real story to this. Okay,
cannibalism.
So sometimes we do these theoretical questions. Okay, and it was funny because we went to BBQ with my boyfriend and we were sitting there and it was packed. There's a lot of people. Everyone's talking. So then we started talking like, hey, would you give up half your life for your dog to live as long as you? And, you know, kind of theoretical questions, okay? And then there was a question I said, well, I was like, you know, you're going to have all the luck and all the power in the world. However, every single day you need to eat at least 6 ounces of a human. Like a human flesh. You have to eat like a steak, okay? You got to eat. And then you can continue having this, right? And then... And literally, as we're going with these theoretical questions...
it gets more and more extreme.
Yeah, but everyone becomes quiet in the restaurant because I bet you they're also thinking, what is their answer? But yeah, everybody starts like listening into our conversation. And it's literally just us talking. And my boyfriend, he's not used to these weird stuff that we do.
Yeah.
He's just like not even answering. Like...
No, I think he's used to our banter and he just doesn't give into it.
Oh my God.
But he literally comes into the room sometimes when you and I are sitting in bed and we're just playing on our phones. And he'll come and he'll try to chit chat and he will literally say, you guys aren't being entertaining. And I'm like, are we supposed to be monkeys and dance for you every time you walk into a room?
He is that guy when you see it on TikToks or shorts where you're pretending like you're having juicy tea and they come running, you know? That's literally what he does. He is that person who'll come running. But sometimes, because sometimes we'll be talking and then he'll just literally like turn into the room. I was here the whole time. I heard everything.
No, he just wants to hear all of the gossip too. And he wants to hear the tea and what's going on, and he gets invested. And then sometimes there are some parts where like it's like, okay, me and Tassie are gonna speak in Hmong, in our broken Hmong, but it's just so Eric doesn't understand what we're saying. And he'll look at us and be like, I know what you guys are saying, just say it in English.
All right, so what I was wanting to ask you guys was, I want to hear about how you guys have been dealing with all the traveling and all the Hwj, like coming to see me. How's it been? Because she's literally tomorrow looking at, I'm doing a Molly. I'm looking at all the cameras. Literally tomorrow we are flying out and we have to go to the airport by 4:30 in the morning. So just literally tomorrow we're going back to California. So anyways, how has it been for you guys?
So, if Molly can do it, I can do it. So then I was like, okay, maybe it isn't that hard. It's not to say that you're bad, Molly. I'm not saying that the standard is low. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I really mean.
Where is the standard then?
I'm not, when I make that statement, it's not to say your standard is low, like how we normally would use that phrase. I'm just saying, wow, okay, so maybe I can try and help and, be a Hwj too.
Use that phrase.
I swear, that's why I had to correct myself or, redefine it for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was kind of scary at first, and I didn't understand. And then it's like, but the nice thing about being a Hwj for you is that you do speak a lot of English. And
I try to make it easy for you guys.
Yes, but it was a little too easy in the beginning where I just thought I just sit there and zone out until you say something in English to me, then I get up and go. But yeah.
I can't believe you've never listened to her chants before, like as being a Hwj. Like,
in the very beginning, I didn't.
You literally just like, what did you do?
I just zone out. Unless she starts speaking in Hmong, then I'm like listening and I'm paying attention to the story and stuff, but only until she started telling me, because what I had a lot of anxiety with when it came to being a Hwj is having to switch out the incense sticks and then because what I'm afraid is if as I'm switching out the incense sticks, she needs me to give her the tianing, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like freaking out. And so I expressed that to Tassie. I'm like, I freak out when that happens. Like, I don't know when it's gonna happen. You don't know when. It's not like 30 minutes in, okay, hit the gong or something, and 40 minutes in, oh, okay, use the guo. It's not like that. So I did ask her. Yeah, I did ask her, and then she says, I tell you what you need to do when I hungo. And I'm like, really? So I'm like, okay, so I need to better prepare myself and sit there and pay attention to what she's saying. And it's interesting because when I started paying attention, like, I'm starting to pick up where she may be in her journey and stuff like that. And, like, just actually paying attention. Because back in the past, like, as children, when we see them do ceremonies and stuff, I don't pay attention to what the shaman is saying.
Yeah, but I think it's because we were kids.
Yeah.
And they never ever explained anything. And so you just, like, I don't even know if anybody ever explained what a chant was as a kid.
No, yeah. But the traveling, yes. It gets exhausting our last trip. Oh my god, I was so tired. I told Tassie that kupong pli because there was no hot tub in the hotel.
Yeah, I would definitely say that because that was your first time traveling to raise a student. Because you've traveled with me to do ceremonies for just families. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated, like, the last time we went to California and we did the 3 ceremonies back to back. And I got super sick there. I definitely appreciated that you were really, 1, getting to know the client too.
Yes.
And 2, learning. You were learning a lot during your Hwj days.
That's when I built my most confidence because we did it back to back to back. It's like, there was no in between.
By default, you had to.
Yeah.
Versus like weeks later, then you do it again. And then weeks later, then you do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And plus, it had been a while since you watched me because, like after November there, I pretty much try not to have any ceremonies. And then so you guys really don't do it again until I open up again in January. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Yeah, but like that's definitely one of the things that I don't think people are sometimes prepared for. When you don't and you go and do ceremonies for a clan, you don't know their relatives, you don't know anybody in their family. You have to spend a lot of time making the connections with each individual, especially if you're gonna it's just out of courtesy to get to know them. What are their concerns before you go into the ceremony?
Yeah.
And so that is something that I also really appreciate about the both of you guys being also, extroverted in that sense and wanting to talk to them and hear their stories. Even if it's not about Neng, like they want to share their life experience and what they're really passionate about, like that side also comes in with doing Neng, like you probably don't think of it that way, but it's really the connection. When you go out there as a shaman, even being a Hwj, like when Le Tianeng at the table and they give thanks to the shaman, they're also giving thanks to the Hwj because the Hwj, they are just as important as the shaman because I can't do a lot of what I do without somebody being able to understand me, knowing what it is I need you to do, because then you guys are the outside, whereas I'm on the inside.
Yeah, and that's why like I became more serious in taking the role as a Hwj because like whenever we do go out or if we're doing it in town or out of town, I make sure I drive you because you need a rest. You need a rest. You're the one who's shaking all the time, and I'm over here just sitting waiting for you and listening to see what I need to do. So I make sure I do my due diligence. I do my due diligence to drive you everywhere we go if I'm going to be your Hwj for the day. And I even jokingly told Tassie, I'll raise my rate and I'll carry you on my back.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like, it is true, though. Part of being the Hwj, it's, they carry the tools for the shaman that day. They set up the shrine.
I'm like, where's she going with this? You're not going to convince me with the current rate. I'm going to carry you.
No, we were literally in California, and then my students start talking to GJ about starting a union.
Me and Molly's gonna start a union.
And I turned and looked at them. I said, unions only work if you have something I need. Who's gonna who your plea every year?
Who's gonna be your Hwj?
Hey, you need us, because I'll see you take it.
Okay, so next time you're haunted again, and then
Hey,
should I throw you
it's transactional. You need us just as much as we need you. So
literally the last time I went to go, I went to do a ceremony, and it was me and GJ who went to California, and I had this nightmare about Molly, and there was this woman I was trying to show her how to do something in my dream, and she couldn't do it, and literally I walked this whole course. It had to do with a car and a bunch of snow, and it's really dangerous and super steep hills. And then I showed her how to do it, and then I was like, okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to wait for you over here. And then she was going to walk the course, and I was like, drive and do it. Like, I got all day. And then when she was almost done, I told her I was going to go first, we're going to go and pack up stuff. And all of a sudden, we're at the car, and there is this creepy woman with a really big grin.
Oh, God.
And she's walking. It looks like a fake dog, but she's pretending it's a dog and trying to make it move, but but she's smiling at us. And I remember Molly was so scared in my dream. She kept trying to hide in front of me. And then I told her, get in the car, and lock the car because I had to go into the house and grab something. But then I thought to myself, why am I out here with this creepy lady and Molly's in the locked car? But I wasn't scared of her for some weird reason. Yeah, and then literally I was messaging her, and then she had a nightmare too.
I had a nightmare, and you had messaged, but I hadn't woken up yet. And then after I read your message, I was just like, oh my God, we dreamt about the same creepy old lady. Because then...
You dreamt the lady with the creepy smile?
You were in the chat, GJ.
Okay, that's the thing. If there's too much going on in the chat, I don't read it.
It was a really long novel. So in the dream, I guess I've gone to this old lady's house before. She has like a huge mansion. And she had called on me to come, and she didn't really tell me what I was supposed to do at her mansion. But I'm kind of like, I help with her. I don't know. I don't even remember what my job was. But as I was there, she was preparing to go on a trip. So all of her nieces, nephews, grandkids were all there. They were prepping to go on a camping trip. So they had this huge, what are those called? Charter buses.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And everyone was supposed to load up and get on there. And then, so the main butler, he goes and he sends everyone off, and he comes back, and I'm like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do here? And he was just like, oh, well, you're just gonna stay here, stay in one of the bedrooms, and one of the bedrooms was called the twins' bedroom. And I was just like, why would I stay here though? Like, that makes no sense. I could just come back every single day if you need me. And he was just like, well, the person who dropped you off would have to come pick you up every day and drop you off every single day. So you should just stay here. And I was just like, okay, there's 5 of us, 2 guys and 2 girls and me. So I was just like, well, if I'm going to stay here, we are all going to sleep in the twins' room together. I had 4 twin beds and 1 king bed. And then
in one room?
In one room. Wow. Remember, this house is a mansion. So just this one room, it was like its own little apartment, kind of.
I think of Haunting a Hill House. That house, the giant house. Anyway, keep going.
Get to the point of your story.
So long story short, was towards the end, we were, one of the girls, one of the ladies that take care of the house too, one of them was being super snarky, like so snarky, where she was getting on my last nerves. And it would just be like petty little things where I'm sitting in a chair and there's 3 other chairs around me and she wants to sit in the chair I'm sitting in. And I was like pissed off. And so towards the end, I am prepping to put all my stuff by the king bed, and she was going to sleep in the twin bed. And so she started laughing at me menacingly. And at first she looked like a normal person, like a normal lady. And then, and she started laughing and her eyes started turning black and it kind of was like melting, kind of like wax. And then her smile was really, really big and she was right in my face.
So you saw the big smile too.
And so she was just laughing and she's just like, it doesn't matter where I choose to sleep. And she was saying,
gonna find you.
Okay. She was just, I don't remember what else she was saying, but I remember I was so pissed off at her. And then I woke up from my dream.
Yeah, and then literally we were flying into California and I fell asleep on the plane, and this is the first plane ride, and I fell asleep and I dreamed that Molly and I were on a train and we were supposed to get off on the next stop, but something makes me super tired. So I fall asleep and we miss our stop, and then the train is going back to our original stop, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh shoot, we never made it off because I fell asleep. So then I had to go, and when I went to go Oneng the next day, then I went to go and take care of it for Molly. But they kept telling me that she's coming. This woman is coming. She's looking for Molly. She's coming. So yeah, you know.
Oh, so you got rid of her?
Yeah, but you know, whose show does not equal what I do. There is no union
This is why
here.
we went on this long tangent. It's just for her to prove a point. You know what, Tassie, next time I won't remind you to make that negotiation with the pig before you start.
Oh, yeah.
On the bench.
No, because even if you don't, I would do it when I go owning. So again, whose show does that? I'm just
Okay, I want to see you do the ceremony without a whose show.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I can ask someone else to do it.
Yeah,
It doesn't have
okay.
to be you two.
That's okay.
We created a union already. We
Yeah,
already got in contact with the other two.
Okay, so should I take off the ceremony coming up?
I was like, everything's paid for.
So a lot of times when I'm going to start a ceremony, though, a lot of my students, they state that they can feel things. So one thing that I'm starting to do more is trying to protect you guys before I go.
No. BS. Why don't you explain what happened the first trip when we went to California with 3 ceremonies back to back to back? And then when I was explaining to you what I was going through, all she did is this.
I was like, really? Okay, so usually, you know, before you go on a long trip,
we're seriously going to create that union.
Or you go anywhere, right? Like, and you're gonna dong, you have to basically tell your kwaneng to taika, to watch you, etc. This is what we're gonna go do.
Let me guess. You only did it for yourself.
So I went to go to a ceremony for a curse. And literally anything and everything that could go wrong was going wrong during this ceremony.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah. And so like when we were, my boyfriend dropped us off at the airport and in my car, you just push a button and then the trunk releases and it opens up, right? So GJ didn't really notice, but she was like, I'm going to be a good Hwj, so I'm going to get the luggage. She literally jumps out of the car. I'm saying goodbye to my boyfriend and then he pushes the button and then GJ gets out of the car and she just whips around and then the trunk door hits her. And then
In the head.
No. It hit me in the shoulder because I quickly turned around the corner and I was gonna go and pick up open it, and then it was already coming in and then it hit me in the sholdr and I'm like screaming in the back.
Bump on your head then.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
And then, I was looking at GJ and I was like, GJ, you need to be careful. And then so we go into whatever. It was sunny before we get to California, right? But then once we landed, it was raining, something fierce. Okay,
it was windy.
So
too.
bad. It was so bad. And then I was telling GJ, you need to really watch your speed limit. And it's raining really hard. The visibility isn't well. And then my clinic kept telling me, there's a cop. And I keep looking at the bypass, and I'm like, I don't see any cops. And they're like, there's a cop. And then all of a sudden, GJ goes, there's a cop behind me.
I was in the far left lane going a little too fast, and I'm like, I see him. Okay, let me turn over.
And then I started yelling at GJ, like, I told you, you need to be careful. And then we get to the hotel, and it's super windy. This is the windiest I've ever been. I haven't been to somewhere.
It is so windy, you feel it moving your car. I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, am I just driving bad? But it's the wind. It wasn't me.
And then, so I'm checking us into the hotel, and GJ is going to get all of our luggage. And then, what happened for you, GJ?
Okay, so Tassie was going in. I went with her. And as she was finalizing the check-in, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go grab the luggage cart now because we got 3 suitcases and a water bottle that we got from Trader Joe's. I'm hauling the luggage cart to the car. But mind you, it is windy. So I'm kind of scared that even though the luggage cart is kind of heavy, the wind is that extreme where I'm afraid it was going to blow the luggage cart like it's a Walmart, shopping cart. Yeah. So I go in, put it in the bag, open the trunk, toss the luggages in there. Each luggage is almost 50 pounds each. So I'm like, okay, this is really heavy. I put 3 of them into the luggage cart. It's not going to move, right? So I open the back seat because that's where the water bottles are. I open the back seat and in the corner of my eye, I see the luggage cart with 3 of those luggages on it. It moves a little bit. I'm like, are you kidding me? And as in the middle of that, I'm holding onto the bottles of water, the case, and I turn and I freak out and I rip the case of waters. Mm-hmm. And my head is low at this point because now it's dropped because I was gonna drop it really quickly and grab the luggage cart. That point, the door it felt like someone grabbed the door and slammed it on the side of my head. And I had glasses, okay? And when that happened, it was so dramatic. I can reenact it. Imagine if someone closed the door, slammed my head, my glasses flew off of my face. And then I was delirious. I was seeing stars and there was birds over my head. I'm like, what's going on? Oh my God. At that point,
you could have had a concussion.
I'm pretty sure I did because my head hurt immediately.
This is why we need a union.
No echelons. Workers' comp, man.
So literally, she comes in fighting for her life. Comes in. I'm looking at her, and then she was like, I hit my head. And I'm like, oh, it's okay.
And as long as it didn't happen to Tassie, it's okay. Because if it happened to her, you would not hear the end of it.
Very true. No, but then GJ's like, she comes into the hotel room, she's feeling for a paku and everything. And then she kept saying, it's right here. And I kept feeling, I don't feel it. She's like, it's right here. I was like,
gaslighting me.
I really didn't feel it. But I'm pretty sure, I was like, you need to be more careful, GJ. because, we're here for a curse. And then, it's just a lot of stuff happened on that trip. It was a really great trip, but man, it was a lot of stuff that happened.
A lot.
Yeah, but definitely I would say that my students, they all felt this energy when we were starting that ceremony.
I felt it too, because it was like the night before, I was getting really anxious, where I wanted to fight my boyfriend and then like just end it then and there. And I felt like this feeling that I had, like this anxiousness, it was driving me crazy.
Oh my God.
I was gonna go crazy. I was choosing the button violence, and I'm like, I'm just gonna end it all. And then even during the ceremony, I was like very anxious. But it's like the weekend before, I just did a ceremony with you too. So I'm like, why am I acting like this? It's not like this is the first time in a long time. So I did feel a lot of like anxiousness, and I kept thinking about things that were distracting me. And I really had to stop my mind and said, GJ, what is wrong with you? This isn't the time and place to be thinking about this stuff right now. Put that aside. You need to calm down. And I felt my heart pumping and everything. And then what I had to do is tell myself is slow down. That way I don't mess up, because I feel like I don't know if it was related to the whole ceremony or not, but I was going crazy.
Yeah. How did you feel after the ceremony?
Halfway through the ceremony, I felt better, but I will say, even when you went straight into it, it was kind of funny. When you went straight into it, you were very aggressive. You were going really aggressive, and I can feel that. So that adding on to my anxiousness, it just amplified it a little bit more. So it was almost like fight or flight kind of situation, And so I'm like, oh, this is like really serious. And your Kone's were yelling at you too.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing about being a Hwj, okay? The way Tassie yells at us, her Kone's yell at her. And it's so fun to sit there and listen to them yell at her.
Yeah.
Wait, but why were they yelling at you?
Because I lost my voice.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going so hard and aggressive because we had to go into a very, very dark place for this. And I was like, please, I can't talk. But when I hungo, even though I lost my voice, when they were having me hunjangoa, my voice was coming out, but I was dying. And I was like, can you just go a little lighter on me? And they were yelling at me like, this is the way of it's not foreplay. And I'm just like, but I'm dying, okay? Like, I'll do this any other day, but not today.
But they were probably like, you didn't lose a leg, you did not lose an arm, you're fine.
Oh my God, I remember, because then before I start my ceremonies, I hooply, and I was like, oh, today's gonna be a long day, man. Like, it was so bad, because I wasn't even sick until the morning of the ceremony. Anything and everything that could go wrong was going wrong.
Yeah. So what I've been doing a lot is talking to the spouses of the shamans, because Tassie has a lot of students, and the nice thing that she does is that she does bring her students onto ceremonies that she's doing, so then they can kind of get an idea of what's going on, which I think is very good, because you need the exposure, right? And the more ceremonies you see, and every ceremony is different. When the spouses come along, I teach them, hey, this is what you should do. But then again, I always tell them, like a little disclaimer, it's going to be different for your shaman. This is how it is for Tassie's shaman, like as the shaman, right? As the Hwj, like when it comes to, I'm pretty sure the ba, when you ba the ta, is the same thing. So I will say, like, I've learned to memorize certain things when it comes to, like, ba kalutana. Like, okay, I noticed that they like this tip that I give them. The cooked stuff, stay with the cooked stuff. The raw stuff, stay with the raw stuff. And then they have to be in this order. And when you place the cups, it has to be in sequential order. Even when you put the sha in, it has to be in sequential order. It can't be like, I'm trying to do a star, And so I do give them tips and things. And I show them this is how you cut, these papers. And I tell them about, like, oh, this is what I know I'm saying it wrong, satsing. Mm-hmm. And then the chuanda, and then the majeng and everything. And these are things that you need to do. And how I particularly do it, I prep everything, because luckily Tassie knows ahead of time, because every ceremony is different. She'll tell me, GJ, this ceremony you're going to need to
X
give me
amount of chuanda,
yeah,
X amount of satsang. Because I think it's so important to, because I know that during the ceremony, you're going to freak out if I tell you, hey, I'm going to need you to cut some more papers, you know?
Yeah.
It tends to freak
It happened
you out.
once.
Yeah.
It happened once.
Yeah, and I try to mitigate as much as I can when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I don't know, do a lot of people ask you questions, Molly? No.
No, I do chit chat with like the clients if we are at the hotel and it's not like a student. But if it is a student, then I'm constantly, if the spouse or the student is nearby, I do kind of like, hey, this is what I would do. If you just pay attention, this is what they're doing, and kind of walking them through it. But I completely understand when it's a student or even a client sometimes, like they are hosting. So they have to cook, they have to run around, they have to do things. So within that, I completely get it. So I do take notes on my end too. And so that when Tassie does tell her client or her student what she did, and I'll always be like, oh, remember this? Remember you did that? And Tassie will be like, oh, yeah. And I also did this and this and that. So it's just kind of...
When we do the recap of the ceremony.
Oh, yeah. I think that's helpful when I'm listening too, because then I would pick up certain things that you're saying, and I look at the client, I'm like, oh, my God, you can't eat pork. And then I'm like, but we'll confirm it with Tassie later.
Yeah. It's just interesting. But then, you know, I do my best also, like... I get it. Ceremony days are always hectic.
It's
so
stressful
just trying
too.
to be that extra set of eyes and ears so that I can tell them what I heard and convey all of that. But
yeah, I think you guys do a really good job of you know, especially like when my spirit guides are wanting to do something that's going to impact the client, and I'm asking you guys, can you guys confirm if they are okay with this? You guys do a really good job of trying to also let them know that there may be drawbacks if you agree to this.
Yeah.
Or the pros and cons.
Like actually taking the time to explain. Yes.
Yeah, so that they can understand what they're really agreeing to rather than just doing it because, you know, the spirit guides see it this way. Doesn't mean that's what you have to do. It's still your free will. Like, you know, like I went and did a ceremony and they wanted to know, they wanted us to go in haiplau, which basically means it's a court. You're basically going to court in the spirit world because there was unfairness done to somebody. And, you know, I had to wait because I was like, knowing the client, they probably don't want this. They probably just want to close the chapter of this and move on. And so I had to ask and I had to make sure. And it's great knowing that my assistant understands my asks and what I want to convey, you know, because I can't just be sitting there having a full-blown conversation with you. So I think that that's really beneficial too. And, you know, like I know that that's probably something I never really prepared you guys for. You guys just caught on and knew how to help clients.
I think like being around you and hearing you talk to afterwards or before or whatever, it's like, and you also are the type of person who always question authority. That's the one that rings to my head. Like in a way of like saying you don't always have to agree to it. You still have a choice. There's still choices at the end that you can make.
Yeah, and I think what really attributes to being able to kind of guide those conversations too, for me, is I work at Tassie's office. So I hear a lot of different client stories and experiences, and it's always just so interesting. And then also when Tassie gives her feedback on like, oh, well, this situation could mean X, Y, and Z, and everyone's situation is so different, right? So I think with that, I just kind of like, oh, okay, I take tips and tricks on how Tassie navigates situations and how she confers to her clients, and like, you need a ceremony for X, Y, and Z, but understand you don't have to always follow it, right? And I think that also has helped me build my confidence in understanding and how to navigate when we do speak to clients or students about repercussions or pros and cons of situations.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Molly is privy to a lot of the conversations that I have because of the office work that she does for me. So yeah, that's something again that, you know, like even when I think back on my own life, you know, like because I'm in management. So I'm really used to coaching a lot of people on their performances and showing statistics, but I never really prepared myself to do the client interaction when it came to that. I think it's just part of my chip boot. It was just
it definitely
part of it.
attributes to your personality, because I'm in management too, so I'm like, it's just like you're talking to your staff, and you have to like be able to word it in a way that the individual that is receiving it can understand and can perceive it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just being able to explain it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, granted, I will say, because I'm not married, so I don't have a husband, because, traditionally if the shaman's married, their Hwj are their husbands, or their wives. And I think it's so important that you guys feel just as comfortable. Like, if you guys were like my husband or whatever, I think it's important as your Hwj that your Hwjs feel comfortable when they go to clients' events too. Because when you're really anxious and you're really uncomfortable and you don't know how to talk to the people,
it shows.
Yeah, and you end up putting a lot of stress on your Hwj. And one thing that I've been trying to convey to my students is you have to be very nice to your Hwj. Okay, sometimes my Kwanning are a little extra. Like, my Kwanning has yelled at you in Chinese.
No, I know.
Look at you.
I know. They have. So, like, okay, because then Tassie would tell me, GJ, in this ceremony, I'm going to need the tsianing. And I'm like, okay. And that means I have to take her rings off, put it there. And I think Molly has told me to make sure to put the right ones back on.
On the correct fingers, because...
Yeah.
Okay, just to...
I did it wrong the first time.
I know. Just to explain... Like, you have spiky junings, are the rings on the shaman's fingers. And there are smooth ones and there are spiky ones. And each one goes on specific fingers.
Yeah. So then during the ceremony, Tassie said, GJ, I need my tsianing. And then I'm like, okay. So I took them off, I placed them down, and I gave her the tsianing. But then there's a struggle of me handing the tsianing to her. She's blind. She can't see. And I'm like following her rhythm.
The first time, I was like... and GJ's like...
I'm trying to match with her.
And then I gave you the advice, don't move. My hand will come to you.
And then even that, like, okay, so then after she's done with the tsianing, she's like, okay, you can take it, GJ. I'm like, okay. So then I put her rings on, and I put them on wrong. And then, because, okay, she's facing the altar, and then I'm over here trying to change out the tsianing, and then putting the jining on. Her Kwanning literally shoots their head like this, and then they speak Chinese. And then I look at them, I'm like, sorry, swap them.
Okay.
But I will say, they're a lot nicer to me now.
Oh, yeah?
The Chinese one, at least.
Oh.
Because then last time I did it, yeah. I did them wrong. And then she's like, GJ, wrong way. I'm like, oops. And then I swapped it. And then your Chinese Kwanning looked at me. And then she said something nicer. And I'm like, I'm assuming you're not yelling at me.
So sometimes I will say that they're still like chitting you, like they're still like jajeka.
Oh yeah,
like yelling at you a little bit, but then it's kind of like like you're a kid, so it's just kind of like
it was better than the first time it happened. The first time I'm like,
the first time it was even, and I have been telling them too, like, you guys have to say it nicer, like, but when you are just at home and you're practicing, right? I've been trying to convey to my students that you need to be nicer to your Hwjs, who are your spouse, because they're learning just like you're learning. And if you yell at them all the time and you're short with them all the time, guess what? They're not going to want to help and learn. So it's just like, like our elders, when we were trying to ask them something and they get frustrated with us and they just yell at us to just observe and learn. It's the same kind of treatment, but you tend to not give as much grace to those very close to you, So I've been telling them a lot, like, they're going to make mistakes. Your Hwjs are going to make mistakes. They're going to give you the wrong tools. They're going to feel just as afraid. And a lot of Hwjs can feel the ceremonies. So just knowing that, and, especially for me, I tend to forget that part, even though for me, I know, like, when I don't have this anxiety because I know my Kwaneng, they will take me, right? But if my Hwj ever get anxious, then oh god, everything's off. Like because if they're nervous, we should be nervous. But if they don't give me that feeling, then everything to me is just my body just moves. But you know what I've been noticing lately?
You've been having to put in a lot more work.
No.
Damn.
What? Where did that come from? Let's talk about this. What are you talking about?
No, I'm thinking about the times where you usually used to them just doing it for you, and then they're like, no, you need to get used to doing it too.
Oh, no. They yell at me about other things. Like, I like to cut corners. Okay, like, I don't like to do the chattering. So some shamans love to talk to other spirits, okay? Like, I'm not here for this. I didn't sign up for this. Like, look, I'm just here to do work. I gotta go, But some shamans, they love to talk to other spirits. And, okay, and my Hwj, they yelled at me last time that I need to stop. And I need to learn to do this properly and to talk to spirits because it's partly to hear their cries. That's really what it is. And I don't need to hear this. Because for me, I see the end result. Like even in real life, that's me. I'm the big picture. But what about the end? Like the little details, like it will hammer out. And for me, I need to get to the end. But for them, like they want that I take the time, let the other spirits come through and talk and hear because it's also for the clients to hear and know. And for me, I'm like, but the result is still the same, so I try to just cut through it. But so that is something that I'm having to do a lot. But what I was trying to say was I've been noticing my body, okay, like I remember when I had the attack, the anaphylaxis. When I went into
anaphylactic shock when you had an allergic reaction.
Yes, so because I can't have alcohol anymore. That was the first time I noticed. But I've been doing this for my whole life. But I'm starting to notice it more often now, and it's probably because I oneng so much that it's kind of like my body just moves on its own. And I'm not fully aware what my body is doing, but I'll notice because then I started picking up. Because what happened was that day, I wasn't even aware. I just knew, I'm having an allergic reaction to alcohol. And all of a sudden, my hands start putting my hair up. And then my body is moving. And it's kind of like you're in a daze. You don't know what's going on. But you can feel like you're moving around in a room. It's kind of like when the camera is just moving around and you're just moving around a house. But
you're not full aware of your body movements, but you're just going with emotions.
And
basically.
and then all of a sudden, I remember when I'm coming to, I'm looking at the toilet, and I'm like, why am I looking at the toilet? And then blah, I throw up the alcohol. Mm-hmm. So that was the first time I realized that my body is moving on its own without me registering what's happening. Similarly, I went to go do a ceremony, and all these things kept telling me to not do the ceremony today. We're going to just call them up and tell them, hey, we're going to cancel the ceremony. But my body kept going through the motions. And then, but everything inside of me kept telling me, no, we're not going to do the ceremony. We're not going to do it. And then all of a sudden I go into the spirit world. Okay, this is how far off I got. I go into the spirit world and then we cut everything off. And then I realized even though my mind was telling me to stop, not do the ceremony, my body was still in control and driving and doing everything on its own. So what I'm trying to say is I've been noticing it more often now that I will sometimes do the most random things and I'm not aware I'm doing it. Like I'll be in a meeting at home in my office and I'll be standing in my office and I'm moving and I'm touching things. And I remember I'm like wrapping up my cords and I'm looking at my cords like, okay, I need these because I'm going to travel soon. But I'm wrapping it up and I'm moving it. And then I set it somewhere and my mind erases where I set it. Okay.
But wait, I have to just ask something. Like, I love your stories and all, but where are we going with
this? I was waiting. No. So, I thought you were the bigger picture.
No. So, like, literally, like one of the things I'm wondering is if you guys are going to eventually develop this too. Is what I'm trying to say.
Where our bodies are just moving?
Yeah, like you're not aware of what you guys are doing as a Hwj, but then because of like maybe let's call it muscle memory, right? If we're gonna talk about this, is it muscle memory?
I know what you're talking about, but that happens to me like all day, every day with a lot of things.
But I also know you're supposed to be a shaman, so you know that may just be a Kwaneng thing.
No, but then I know like literally it goes into my driving. You know how we were talking about I would forget, you know? Like literally, like I would be driving and I am going home. I do that route all day, every day, twice a day, right? Leaving and coming. And I will literally be driving on a road that I've driven down for the last 5 years. And all of a sudden, I don't recognize anything. Like all of a sudden, I snap out of it and I don't recognize everything. And then I realize, oh, we just drove past our house.
Yeah, she misses exits all the time, you guys.
Yeah, but to me, I think of that as just going on autopilot. But I've been doing that for like forever though. So I think it's just your first time experiencing just that autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think, I'll be honest, I don't think that's ever going to happen to me when I go Hwj because I have to be actively listening. Because if I don't, I'm not going to know what I'm doing until you say it in English. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's just, I know when to anticipate it.
Do you ever get this feeling of anticipation of what's going to happen?
Kind of.
Do you ever feel like, because I kind of wonder if you guys are going to start to feel like, oh, let me ask you this. The ceremony where I thought I was getting possessed.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
It was me.
Did you feel it? Like my fear? That something was off. That something was wrong.
I could tell something was different, you know, but I didn't get the feeling that something was wrong. Tassie's chant changed, her tune and the way she was doing everything. It was very different, and I was very surprised. But usually when that happens, it only happens for like a period of maybe a couple minutes, 5 minutes max. But it continued on for the whole ceremony. So I was a little surprised, but at the same time, I've noticed as you've been onenging since last year till this year, like there has been significant changes, right? Previously, you only used your junings, so the rings on your fingers, but now you use a tsianing while you oneng sometimes. So I've progressively seen that it has been changing, but I don't think too much of it.
Because sometimes I'll that ceremony really quick. That was the first time I thought I was getting possessed. Like, because I always tell you guys, when you oneng, if you wanted to, you could stop. If you really, really wanted to, you could just stop, right? That was the first time I experienced it, and that is why I can't drink alcohol anymore. Because these are very specific types of oneng, and let's just say there is no room for negotiations. So, but I remember when it happened, my go changed, and it didn't help. Where we were going was very haunted. There were ghosts everywhere, but they explained things very well to me, and I was like freaking out because I kept trying to switch my go because I was like, this is not my normal go. I don't like this go. I need to switch it back. And I tried 6 times, you guys, like 6 times. And I'm just chanting and chanting and chanting. And I'm just speaking Hmong during this time. And I'm trying to break this go and the tune. And I couldn't. So then I was like, and then they were so forceful. And there were so many ghosts around me. I was like, oh my God, today is the day I'm going to get possessed. Like, this is the day. It's happening. This is what it feels like to have possession. That's literally what I was thinking of. And then my kwaneng come, and they're trying to calm me down. Like, calm down. Like they literally look like lo shi mo ku plua. And they're trying to tell me, like, calm down. You need to calm down. And because I'm like, I'm getting possessed. And
outside looking in, I mean, I couldn't, besides your tune changing, like, we couldn't tell you were fighting an internal battle.
Yeah, that was the day.
Oh yeah. Oh, we went through so many trials and tribulations that day. I totally forgot. But so much happened that day.
We were like exhausted. We were shot. Our nerves were shot by the end of the day.
It was
because that was the same day I went to the ER too.
Yeah, it was just a series of events. That morning, I lost my spirit. Literally, it wasn't because of the client, but I lost it at their house. And I just, after that experience of losing my spirit, I was just like, there's no point in living anymore. Like, I contemplated, my whole life flashed before my eyes, and I was just like, there's no point.
Oh my God.
Like, I was going through it. And so maybe that's why I didn't pay attention to Tassie, because I was just like, I'm just like,
at least you didn't get hit by a car twice.
I don't know.
You got hit by a parked car.
But you know, like, but what happened was, okay, so then I gave up alcohol, and you know, I've been fine ever since. But what happened was, I went to do another ceremony, and then the same chant came back, and I was like, "It's you guys!"
Oh yeah, I remember this. It was so funny.
I started yelling at them like, "It's because of you! I can't drink alcohol!" And they're like, "You're a shaman. You're not supposed to." And I'm like, but yeah, I was just like, "You're right." You know, like it's kind of like you can't even argue with them. And
she did argue with them.
I did.
She did. Funny. And it was so funny because she was literally in the middle of doing a chant, and I'm just like giggling because they're fighting, and I know what they're fighting about, and I was just like, oh gosh.
Oh man, I was so livid. I was like, you know, you could have just done something nicer to me. And they're like, we've been telling you every time, but you don't listen.
She's so stubborn, and she doesn't ever listen until it's in her face.
Yes, and let's just say I learned my lesson. Okay, like how I always tell people, if your Kwaneng do not want you to do something, trust me, they will make sure you know. I know. I can't have alcohol. No, but thank you guys so much for being my Hwjs. And of course, all of the trips were still going on for the rest of the year here.
Yes.
I am closed. No more ceremonies because I am booked out, you guys, for this year. And, you know, like every time I tell Molly, like we'll be in the office and I tell her, like, you know what, I'm not going to have any more ceremonies. Another client comes in with a lot of issues, and it's like we all need help. I get it, but you know, I'm waiting for the shamans I know to hurry up and finish all their levels so that I can start to push people to other shamans so that they can help the clients. You guys, all right, you guys, thank you, and until next time.